Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're once again back in Warframe for another build, and this time we're having a look at the Athodai. I made a video about this weapon not too long ago, so this will be pretty much an updated build because we do have in fact a new mod for this weapon that you can easily get from Nightwave. This is also a very special weapon that has a very fast auto fire rate. And also a Thunder Hammer that is pretty much just a beam of energy that can pretty much destroy anything in front of you, and it does look real nice. Anyways, that's enough introductions for now, so let's jump into the build. This weapon comes with a unique trait that grants you increased fire rate, removes all recoil, and also grants 100% ammo efficiency to the weapon for 8 seconds. The alt fire also uses all the ammos you have left in your magazine, but you can kind of stop the by rolling, so that is pretty much how you deal with that. The primary fire mode has a fire rate of 5, magazine of 24, reload speed of 2 seconds, and a ribbon disposition of 3 out of 5, which is not bad, and ribbons will be alright. Of course, if you have a better one than what I have, definitely go for it, they are for sure worth having. The critical chance is 32%, critical multiplier is 2x, and the status chance is only 8%. The primary fire mode deals mostly hit damage for a total of 70. And moving to the alt fire, it has a fire rate of 12, magazine stays at 24, and reload also stays at 2 seconds. But you also gain 2 meters of punch through, and the beam is 12 meters long. It comes with a below average crit chance at only 18%, an average crit multiplier at 2x, but the status chance is 24%, which is very nice, and it deals only hit damage, which means you will only be triggering hit, which is quite a good status to have. And these are the mods I'm gonna use for today's build. We are only going to focus on the primary fire mode and not the alt fire, because that is where our damage will come from, and that's all thanks to the new mod that's called Pain Points. This mod on weak point hit with your primary fire grants you 60% more weak point damage for 5 seconds that stacks up to 10 times. That means we get 600% more weak point damage, which is just completely insane, and that only applies to your primary fire mode. And since we are already focusing on weak points, I'm also using Pistol Acuity to gain 350% more weak point damage and 350% more weak point crit chance at the cost of our multi-shot, Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Tracker for crit chance and crit damage, Prime Hit Charge and Scorch for a lot of hit damage and some additional status chance, Galvanized Shot for 80% status chance and on kill more damage depending on how many statuses are affecting the target, up to 3 stacks, and Galvanized Crosshair for 120% more crit chance on headshot while aiming for 12 seconds, and on headshot kill you gain an additional 40% crit chance while aiming for 12 seconds. By using all these mods, we are going to deal a lot of damage through weak points, but everything else will pretty much not be that good, and that is kind of annoying. But if you don't want to go for just weak points, you can for sure just instead of replace Pistol Acuity with Galvanized Diffusion and just go for the usual multi-shot build, which is also quite good. I'm also using Steady Hands in my Exilo slot, and that is because this weapon does kick quite a lot without a unique trait active, and so we need to remove a little bit of that weapon recoil. I'm also using Secondary Dead that grants us an additional 360% more damage after killing enemies with headshots, and we also gain 30% more headshot multiplier and 50% less weapon recoil, which means this weapon won't have any recoil at all pretty much all the time. And that's pretty much the whole build, so let's now see it in action. And as always, I'll have here 20 Corrupted Heavy Gunners level 225 with Silpat modifiers, and let's just start blasting them with our weapon. We are just gonna use our primary fire mode, and just even without too much stuff going on, we are already dealing quite a lot of damage. The fire rate is not great, but the moment we actually kill something with the headshot, yeah, it becomes very good. We also have 100% ammo efficiency, which is very good because the weapon does not have that many ammo reserves, and this is pretty much the damage you can expect. And yeah, of course we do eventually run out of ammo. Once again, this weapon does not have that many, that is kind of a problem. And so if you have it, either go for a carrier, or if you don't have the carrier sentinel, just use Prime Pistol Ammo Mutation or any ammo mutation mod. Honestly, they're all pretty much good, but this one is of course the best. And since we're here, I'll show you how the weapon performs with multi-shot instead of Pistol Acuity. Alright, here we are, and let's once again start blasting enemies in the head, because that is where we actually deal damage right now, so let's just go with that. And yeah, we do miss on the red crits, which is a bit sad, but we do deal in fact more damage. And that's all thanks to the multi-shot, because the multi-shot is just that good. And honestly, this is the build I actually recommend going for, because in my opinion, it's just better. Multi-shot is always better than any amount of crit chance, unless you go for crazy amounts. But yeah, this is pretty much how the weapon performs, and this is pretty much gonna be the final build, because yes, multi-shot is always king. And if we also apply viral, thanks to, in this case, my Panzer, that is using this build, enemies will just die even faster, and we also gain 1.2x more crit damage thanks to Tenacious Bond, and he can also strip armor, and he also does many other things, and he also has claws that allow him to deal more damage, but I have a full guide dedicated to this pet if you are interested in that. Alright, 20 fresh enemies, let's wait for our pet to spread viral onto enemies, because that's all I need. Eventually he's gonna spread viral, I hope. I think, yeah, there we go, we have viral. And of course now we can just, well, pretty much one-shot anything. And since we have infinite ammo for the majority of the time, yeah, we can just keep shooting and shooting and shooting and one-shotting everything. And of course, if you really want it, you can just add a roar buff or any other damaging buffing ability. And yeah, that is that's gonna make things probably too easy to even have fun. Dealing millions and millions of damage on headshots and having infinite ammo and, you know, too much stuff going on. This is definitely not fun and amazing at all. Yeah, nope, not fun at all. And yeah, that is pretty much the Athodai. I really like this new mod because it allows the weapon to also build for multi-shot without having to focus too much on weak points, and that means you can actually use the alt fire once in a while to either apply a bunch of statuses or just to deal some damage to very low level enemies. And yeah, I really like this mod a lot. Anyways, I'll now leave you guys to the showcase where I test this build for 5 minutes in a Grenadier Steel Pan survival, so you can see how it performs in a more realistic scenario. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, and if you like my content, consider subscribing. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, thanks for watching, and bye bye.